So I'm super excited for today's exclusive podcast on NLP, that is Neuro-Linguistic Programming for Teachers. Teachers who shape the young minds, who mold the future generation. So today's purpose is to understand how NLP certification can empower teachers personally and professionally in and outside the classroom. Today we have Ravi Budhani. Ravi is a master NLP trainer. He has been training people like leaders, educators, change makers across the country from last 16 years. So let's understand what is NLP from the master himself. So Ravi, I welcome you to today's podcast. So please let us know what is NLP and how teachers can benefit from this wonderful science of transformation and evolution.
First of all, thank you for having me here. I think it's an immense pleasure for me that I'm going to be talking about this very close to my heart topic, and the topic of NLP, which is a very fascinating science, and something that teachers, I think, after they inculcate NLP into their personal and professional space, I believe that they will see themselves growing, faster than otherwise. Absolutely faster than otherwise. So to begin with, I think when it comes to teachers, I believe that teachers are having a very big responsibility. It's like they have to wear these multiple hats, if I can call it.
Yes.
So a teacher is not only a teacher. She or he is not only educator. They are educators. They are motivators. They are entertainers at times. They are leaders. They are sometimes, I think, counselors,
Yes.
therapists, a friend, a coach. So all of these multiple roles, which I'm calling as multiple hats that they have to wear.
Yeah.
So it's not an easy job. So, so from my perspective, the role of the teacher, the aim is not only about providing that education or the topic that they're delivering.
Yes.
It is more about creating that kind of a thought provocative state in minds of the young students, the teacher, the students, and the participants. It's about how the teachers are able to shape the minds, inspire them through their education, through the transfer of their knowledge, that they're bringing, in a way, I believe, revolution in the minds of the students. So it is therefore not a very easy job that a teacher comes in the classroom, delivers and goes, and the next teacher comes in. So it's a big role to play.
Yes, I think as a teacher or a trainer, they play a very dynamic role because they have to deal with multiple personalities, different students, parents, school management, a lot of things at stake. A lot of dynamism is required, I believe, right? In today's
Absolutely.
role.
I think in this, the very word dynamism is where NLP comes in. So when teachers are doing their job, their work, if they have NLP in their already existing toolkit, they'll see themselves doing all these multiple roles more dynamically and positively, because NLP is a study of excellence. It's about human excellence and communication expertise. So when teachers have this, it's like they are carrying a stronger base in order to provide that kind of a knowledge or to inspire the generations.
Yes. So Ravi, as you beautifully mentioned, that teachers, they play multiple roles. Long was the time when they were just educators, but they're more of communicators now, right? So how can NLP help them, support them to become better communicators? Because in today's generation, it's difficult to engage the students, the young minds. So how can NLP help them to perform this role?
And this is exactly the challenge, actually. That like you said, that how to keep up, how to hold the attention.
Yeah.
So even if I would quantify, the attention span now, is about 3 to 4 seconds, as compared to the last decade, when the research showed that it was in double digits, like more than 10 seconds. So now this is a challenge now we have to deal with,
Yeah.
especially teachers, people who are public speakers or trainers, facilitators. It's about how are you able to hold the attention of your audience, in this case your students. So this is where the impact in communication is required.
Yeah.
This is where the word like influence is required. So influence and impact in communication is what we are incorporating with NLP, that if teachers have it, they'll be able to hold that attention for long. Right? And that's where the seamless transition, transference of the knowledge that they are wanting to provide.
Yes.
So learning NLP, it's about bringing excellence, impact, and influence in their communication.
Okay. So, Ravi, are there any wonderful techniques in NLP which help them to do this role of communicator better? Any specific technique
Absolutely,
you talk about?
100% right. In fact, NLP is actually a multidisciplinary synthesis of various fields. So let's say fields like psychology, behavioral psychology. We talk about cognitive psychology, linguistics, metaphors, right, and general semantics, and many other modalities. So now there are many techniques in simple words. So to answer your question, so NLP is a content that is rich and derived from many different tools and techniques derived from these different fields and domains of psychology, linguistics, and disciplines, like I shared.
Right. Ravi, it has also been observed, that sometimes teachers feel a challenge to connect with students, with parents. So, does NLP offer anything like rapport building or something which helps them to connect at a deeper level with students?
Of course, the answer is yes here. And it's like, let's say, the word influence is of major importance in our communication that we are having right now, this conversation. The word influence means that if you are communicating, you are getting positive responses from people who are listening to you
Yes.
or you are dealing with. So, in other words, influence is I get what I want from you or from the listeners. So when it comes to influence in the classroom, influence in like let's say dealing with parents, dealing
Yeah.
with other people.
Yeah.
So if a person is influential, so they're having impact, which means they get positive results and responses from people who they are dealing with. So NLP has a lot of it. In fact, the most influential communication can be learned through NLP, that's Neuro-Linguistic Programming.
All right. So NLP can help teachers to perform better as communicators, counselors, influencers, and also about building rapport with students and parents.
100% right. So we're talking about rapport building. Now, the very word rapport. Now, what is rapport in very simple words is that you have to psychologically match with the person you are dealing with. So you have to psychologically tune yourself in.
Yes.
So in other words, in very simple example, why do people talk with young children like young children? Yeah? Why do you speak like a child with a child?
Makes sense.
So what you're doing is you're actually flexing yourself in order to have that zone of rapport where you are more understood. So if you talk like a child with a child, the child will understand what you are trying to convey. Right? Similarly now this is easy, but the bigger challenge comes when we are dealing with adults, with like adults. But then now every adult has a different set of a psychological makeup. So rapport is a very deep work, which NLP provides, a set of skills and tools that how can especially the teacher learn to build rapport first, to be able to tune themselves with their audience, their students, and then transfer the knowledge.
Yes.
So transferring knowledge or information as a teacher is the ultimate job, of course, but it's not that easy.
Yeah, yeah, I understand, Roy, because let's say you are a teacher, right? In a classroom, you have 25 to 50 students, and many of them having different personalities and behavior. So at times it becomes so challenging for a teacher to, transfer the knowledge because everybody has different learning styles too. So what does NLP help in this part?
So good. I think one of the fine techniques in NLP, one of the fine core concept is representational systems. So it's like uh, we all have a preference for learning, right? So some people they want to learn more through auditory preference, which means if I hear pretty well, if I'm able to hear the voice, if I'm listening pretty well, I understand what the topic is being talked about. In other ways, there are some visual learners. So people who learn more by seeing, you know. So when you are showing me something in your teaching content, I think I tend to grasp more of the content now, right? So there's an auditory learner, there's a visual learner. In other words, in other sense, it's a kinesthetic learner. Kinesthetic are people who like to learn through practical exercises.
Okay,
They
they want
like
to
to
feel.
learn. Yeah. So I'm not saying that we are discarding some senses and focusing on only one. If I'm an auditory learner myself, I'm not saying that I don't look at the teacher, I don't look at the blackboard or look at the slides, right? And I don't want practicals at all. But my preference is auditory.
Yes.
Similarly, we all have different preferences. So some students, they will learn when it is practically understood. When you're really doing something, it's like learning by doing.
So they are the students who will love to be more in the labs.
That's right. That's right. In the labs or make me do something. Because just sitting at one place, I don't think I get it all. Versus some other students who are actually getting it all. Right?
Yes.
So now the point is, how is the teacher now transferring this? If they understand this concept, how should they be dynamically changing or flexing their roles into the visual, auditory, kinesthetic, all of that combined?
Yes.
Otherwise, in normal, conventional, common method, the teacher has his or her one preference.
Yes. Yes.
Right?
I have noticed. Yeah.
Right. So if I'm an auditory learner, so I'll assume everybody else also to have auditory learning preference. So I'll be focusing more on the way I'm speaking, in my tonality of my voice, into storytelling. But what if I'm not able to exercise my visual or the kinesthetic muscle here? I'm losing 2/3 of the
Correct.
audience,
Correct.
right? Versus if I'm able to deal with this fact that I'm able to, prepare myself into incorporating all of these three modalities, then I'm becoming more dynamic.
Yeah.
Then I'm influencing everybody.
Correct.
That's where we.
And through this, teachers can also build rapport because they are connecting with students based on their learning preferences, right?
And now, what's even more interesting, if I can use this word, hypnotism, right? Hypnotism, yeah. So I'm not talking about hypnotism that you look at a spot or look at my pendulum moving and I'll hypnotize you. That's the conventional hypnotherapy methods. When you say the word like rapport, so when the teacher is actually able to navigate in the auditory, visual, kinesthetic communication style, the teacher is actually creating rapport, right? And now what happens in the zone of rapport is the students, the listeners or the participants are actually in a way in a sense of trance.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's where the influence actually happens. So they are in a kind of trance. So trance is something where you lose the track of time. Yeah, it's like when you are watching a movie and you're so involved, or you're reading a book, you're so involved, you forget what time it is, where you are. You're so engrossed in the characters or the story that you are equally participating in the content of the story. So that's a trance. So in other words, now what I'm trying to pitch here is if the teachers are able to produce that trance, if they're able to create that trance environment, they are excellent teachers.
Wow. So, Ravi, can this be learned?
I'm talking about the content of NLP, of course. So NLP is about, this kind of a hypnotic communication through which you are creating your influence.
Wow.
That's where the influence happens.
I think this would be one of the amazing skills for teachers in their toolkit.
Exactly. And now it's like, you see that these kind of hypnotic skills or creating rapport, and then you are transferring your knowledge, then you are educating. You see the result will be absolutely like a black and the white.
Right. So you're opening the doors and then you are giving the knowledge.
And now one of the fine, fundamental principles of learning is that any form of learning, if it is not subconsciously learned, it is not learning.
Oh.
I'll repeat that. So if any learning, until addressed in the subconscious, it is not called as learning.
Wow.
So in other words, if you see that students who are passing their exams, by studying or with the virtue of their memory, that's not learning. That's not learning.
So what is learning then?
Exactly. Thank you very much for that. So learning is more about generalizing the concepts. It's about generalizing the concepts. What do you mean by generalizing is, when you really learn something, you'll be able to apply that learning in your everyday life.
Oh.
Think about what I'm saying.
That reminds me of the movie Three Idiots, where Amir Khan, in the end, right, whatever he has learned in the engineering college, he's applying it on daily activities. He's innovating something,
Fantastic.
right?
I'm so glad. I'm so glad now after you said I'm recalling it, yes. So because any form of learning is not just about the virtue of memory, like I said. So if I have a good memory, you know what, I'm by hearting stuff. I remember what the teacher said. I remember what's written in the book or in my notes or in my tuition classes. And I'm passing in flying colors. So I'm not intelligent, to be honest. I just have a good memory. So we should not mistake that people who are, or students who are scoring good marks are actually learning. No, that's not it. Learning is a process, I call it. It's a revolutionary process where the mind is revolutionary, it's enthusiastic. It's like it's a drug. When you really learn something, you have eurekas.
Yes.
That's the real learning. So if my teacher is a real good teacher from this regard or this perspective,
Okay.
and I learn, let's say, mathematics, maths, arithmetic, or geometry, I should be able to look at or spot geometry or arithmetic in my everyday life. That's the real learning. So if I'm able to conceptualize, I'll be contextualizing. So if the concept is clear in my subconscious, if I really understood the concept, then I'll be able to contextualize it, which means I'll apply the same learning elsewhere. That's true learning.
Yes. So NLP does help teachers in producing such hypnotic communication when the concepts are transferred directly to your subconscious mind, to your unconscious mind.
Exactly. And that's what we are talking about.
I think this is the next level of communication
It
altogether.
is indeed a next level. I believe that every teacher, believe me, I've been doing this work, I've been certifying, professionals, teachers, and professionals otherwise for more than 15 years now. So I know the importance of this. A teacher with NLP, with a teacher without NLP are talking about two very different people.
No, I can feel the difference, in fact. I haven't learned yet, but I can feel the difference about it.
And now, like I said, like very simple things like, when the teacher is communicating. So communicating is only 7% of words. Right? So if let's say if I'm the teacher and I'm teaching my content, my topic, so only speaking about it is not the transference of my content. Majority of the communication is 93% non-verbal. So if 7% are the words,
Words.
38% are the tonality of my voice, the words. And the remaining 55% of the chunk is your non-verbal, your body language. Right? It's not what you say matters. It's about how you say it matters.
Matters. Wow.
So similarly, when I'm teaching my concept or my topic, am I congruently communicating? So congruent communication is 100%. So are the teachers, I have a question now, are the teachers really equipped themselves? Are the teachers ready to play this role?
This seems very challenging, but very inspiring too.
So even when, say, like people like the leadership, the team in any kind of a board or the school, so even the hiring process of a teacher, I think it should be taken with ultimate care, because you are having a big responsibilities. Big responsibility. In other words, when you're having a classroom of 40 or 50 students, young children, you are playing with very young, robust, and potentially global leaders of the future. So how should you even choose teachers?
Yeah.
I wonder, really.
Because teachers are also role models, right? Students look at teachers based on their values, ethics, behavior. So, how should a teacher be? Right? We all remember our teachers, the teachers who were good communicators because we understood what they were saying. And that's how we remember them most of the time.
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely right. So now this is where, again, the word called personality comes in. If a teacher is having a personality, you see, nowadays, children's expectations is very different. Because let's say that, post-COVID, after this whole revolutionary AI era, I have the best of content on my mobile phone, at my fingertips. Even youngest of students have their own mobile phones or iPads, right? So I have the world's best content being delivered at my own home at any time. So why should I listen to you as a teacher if I'm coming to the classroom?
Yes.
So I'll be forced to compare you with the global best teachers or educators.
Yes.
So I'm bound to compare. How good are you? So why should I lend you my ears or my attention? So you have to be equally, equipped, equally dynamic, equally robust.
Yes, because now you are being compared with people who are globally at a very next level.
Absolutely next level. So then how should your teachers be like? So in fact, if this podcast, this conversation, if people who are leaders in any kind of a school setup, college setup, they should take this kind of content with absolute sensitivity. That how should you be hiring or letting your teachers, enter the classroom equipped or unequipped.
Yes.
Otherwise, you are actually playing with those beautiful minds.
And I think when teachers play multiple roles, the role of a communicator is one of the primary things that they do, right? The other role, Ravi, that we were talking about was teachers also play the role of motivators because they have to manage a lot of students, like underperforming students, to come to the next level. So, can NLP help teachers, to fire the intrinsic motivation of the students? Because everybody gets motivated or inspired very differently, right? So, as you said, it's a very dynamic process. So, can NLP help or lend help to teachers in this process of motivating children?
I think yeah. So if we're talking about the bigger picture called influence, impact. So motivation is one of the components, one of the key components. So motivation here is, why should I even listen to you? Why should I even look at you as a student? I have to be motivated somehow, right?
Yeah.
So I think even if I remember my own school time, I think school time, college time, I would be motivated by a teacher who is simplifying a very difficult concept, right? They're able to use metaphors. Are you able to share a story to me? teaching the concept, which is otherwise a very complex, very difficult topic. So I would be motivated by storytelling. I'm not talking about storytelling, telling stories. It's about, can you simplify the concept in a metaphor, in analogies? I would be really motivated.
And that's how you'll hold my attention.
Yeah. And if I see that the teacher is not communicating even with at par or required fluency, I would again lose attention. Right? So there are many factors in every individual person, that what is their motivation button, what is their trigger. But if the teacher is dynamic, if the teacher is able to have this flexible approach, so then that's a leader teacher.
Yeah, at times you have teachers who blame the students or the environment. Children are not attentive. They're busy in their mobile phones. The parents are not giving them the due attention. And they leave away from their responsibility. But a leader teacher is someone who can enable new skills, who can become dynamic by learning NLP and becoming a better communicator to hold the attention of students, right?
Absolutely right. And that's where we are going with this whole, conversation. The whole topic today is essentially about how must, in fact, the teachers should incorporate something like this and do their job at 100%.
Wonderful.
By their non-verbal communications, with their communication, with their hypnotic way of influencing, with creating rapport, with having these different learning styles in mind, using metaphors, many things. So all of this is learned in NLP, by the way. It's NLP content we're talking about.
So Ravi, as we all human beings, we have these something called as limiting beliefs, right? Teachers too have some limiting beliefs that I have observed. Like some teachers have this belief that students don't listen to me, or I am being undervalued. I'm not getting such kind of thing. So they have some kind of limiting belief which is stopping them to open up or go to the next level. So does NLP have something wherein teachers can identify their limiting beliefs and break through them?
I think I would like to comment on this by sharing something more underlying, is that a role of a teacher, I believe, it's not only about that transforming, the transference of the content. It's about who are teachers essentially. Are they themselves growing and evolving? That's where the belief comes in. So if there's a teacher who is having this kind of a evolutionary mindset, because teachers are role models.
Yes.
Yeah. So if I like you, if I want to be like you, then I listen to what you say. I'll do what you say. If I'm able to see you as a role model, like, hey, I want to become like her, or like him. So that's where this whole influence or this motivation, rapport, or even influence comes in. So now, talking about this little part called the belief systems. First of all, this is, of course, another content of NLP. So NLP is not only about professional development of a teacher. We are talking about personal growth as well, a personal transformation.
Yes.
So when we are talking about NLP for teachers, and I believe that any teacher who is actually listening and watching this podcast, my clear message is I'm not talking anything only to help them professionally. The whole aim beyond my conversation, my speech, is that we are talking about a holistic development of a human being. A teacher is a human being first,
Yes.
then a teacher. Right?
Wonderful.
So when we are talking about these multiple hats to be played, I'm not restricting or I'm only limiting them in the classroom. I'm talking about how should they become even better evolving human beings, wherein they grow themselves. So NLP is therefore not only about the professional development, it's about becoming better human beings. A better human being means what is the yardstick? Where am I going with this? A better human being is a performing human being. You know, so NLP learning, it's about promoting the potential to be activated.
Yes.
Yeah. So if my potential is activated, I'm a good trainer, a teacher, a housewife, a husband, or a student, or a business person, or a leader, right? So if I'm playing full potential, I'm good everywhere.
Yes.
It's about achieving goals. Yeah.
Yeah. So what you said, Ravi, I understand that at times teachers feel stuck in their career. So NLP can help them to evolve personally and professionally. Correct? It's not just about teacher, because teacher is also a mother, a housemaker, a caregiver at a home, because she's balancing multiple roles. So NLP will help her to deliver these roles very seamlessly.
Absolutely right. And that comes to a lady teacher. Otherwise, if we talk about the he
Yeah.
teacher, then but of course, nevertheless, I think the roles are dynamic. There are multiple roles because we are living in a very dynamic world, of course. So we are not a teacher at home. A teacher is not a wife or a husband at the classroom. So we are playing our roles dynamically. I think one part, I think very fundamental fact I would share, of requirement, if I may say, is that are the teachers wanting to learn themselves? That's my first question. All these topics that we are talking about is about, is the teacher themselves, himself or herself, wanting to learn? Do you believe in learning? If a teacher is not a student, that's not a teacher, the way I say it.
Agreed.
Yeah, because you can teach only when you love to learn. It's not about what you've learned.
Right.
It's about what you are learning. That makes a teacher, I believe.
Yeah. A teacher has to be a lifelong learner herself or himself.
And with learning NLP, we are talking about creating a very dynamic, a very entertaining, interesting, enjoyable process of learning. Why always serious faces here? Why you want a very serious lecturer? People don't like it. Attention span is very diminishing nowadays.
Yes.
So we want somebody who's a robust speaker, or a communicator who is robust. Not like you are giving me a lecture. I can't sit for too long, because as a student, if I'm sitting at one place, I'm sitting for 7 to 8 hours, man. Teacher after teacher coming in and going, right?
Yes.
So even I need to feel good about coming to classrooms, right? So we need a robust communicator here.
So that's what NLP hopefully brings to teachers.
Potentially brings to the teacher. That's right. Yes.
Wonderful. Great. So Ravi, there has also been some, cases wherein a teacher feels that she is not listened or she is undervalued, and especially when they have counseling sessions with parents. So in such cases, can NLP help them become, more powerful in their communication, more influential in their communication, wherein they become more assertive? Because they do have the knowledge, but there's one thing to having the knowledge, the other thing is how are they delivering in terms of their mindset?
Of course, the answer is yes here, because NLP essentially, fundamentally, is not only for teachers. Here we are contextualizing it for teachers. Overall NLP, it's about, like I said, how can a person evolve? So these qualities, these requirements, come handy in the content of NLP. How can I change myself? How can I bring more confidence within myself, more assertiveness, better listening skills, right? So all of these are the facets of this multifaceted discipline of NLP.
And Roy, one of the roles that teachers play is the role of a disciplinarian. He or she has to set the boundaries, like the discipline. So at times it becomes very frustrating, right, to have all this disciplinary actions. But can NLP help to bring some more emotional maturity? Because at times teachers are burning out. They are feeling more stressed. So does NLP offer any help on this side?
I think NLP. Firstly, it's a very broad concept. It has many facets inside. So what I usually do is that when, let's say, when we are talking about certifying teachers in NLP, so I start with a diploma certification,
Okay.
a diploma where we don't enter or we don't touch base on these very personalized, therapeutic, or change-making aspects of the NLP content. So NLP is a huge content.
It's
right?
huge, yeah.
So it's broken down into steps. So the first step is to have a diploma certificate, right? Where you learn about rapport building. You talk about how to have your better communication enhanced with non-verbals and verbal communication, hypnotic communication, right? Representational systems I spoke about.
You also mentioned about metaphors and storytelling.
Metaphors and storytelling. Now this is more about their professional development and growth,
So NLP diploma is more for professional development.
especially for teachers. Yes.
Okay.
Right. But now, when you spoke about the aspects of counseling and bringing personal change or some sort of therapy, then there is another module that is the practitioner's level of NLP, post diploma. That is.
Okay. Okay.
So that's where you have another bigger content coming in to bring your even personal change at a broader level.
Okay. So the first level is the diploma level, wherein
right.
teachers can have their professionally develop themselves.
That's right. So it's a 3-day content,
Okay.
3 full days of content, which could otherwise also be broken down into hours or half a day, and that's fine. But it's almost about we're talking about around 20 hours of content, 3 days.
Okay.
That's
okay.
diploma.
So if they undergo this kind of diploma, they will become better communicators, wherein it's one of the biggest role that teachers play, right?
So it's about the initial dynamic role that we spoke about, multiple hats to be played. So what are the essential requirements? So the diploma is about laying the foundation of this NLP model. So once the foundation is set, then we build stories.
Okay. So you mean to say that teachers should start with diploma and then they should graduate themselves to practitioner and other levels.
100% right. Because NLP is a very practical work. It's full of tools and techniques. So it's like adding skills. So if you learn too much in one time, so you don't have much room for installing or instilling those skills inside you. It's a very practical work. When you learn something, you have to apply it. So what I do is I provide personal coaching as well. So when I conduct my trainings, especially for teachers, what I do is after the training gets over, I have a coaching incorporating. So I have a coaching intake, coaching experience to be provided for teachers. I want to check how they're doing. What is more required? How should we fine tune? So the coaching is a part of training here we're talking about.
So Ravi, are you talking about the group coaching that happens after the sessions, after the
that's
workshop?
Right. That's right. So in many cases, group coaching, in some cases, personalized coaching.
Okay.
So when some teachers are wanting to have a personalized coaching sessions with me, I also do that. So now, in other words, cutting a long story short, what I'm meaning is diploma is a fantastic place to start so that they take all of these new skill sets, apply it, utilize it, play with it, check it out, understand it, get better in that, and then come for the remaining content work.
Okay. So Ravi, is this NLP diploma, is it a certified, globally accredited course? How is it?
Indeed, it's a certification course, and I'm a member of American Board of NLP.
Okay.
Right, so that's I think the world's most renowned body of NLP certifications. So of course, here we're talking about providing the diploma certificate from the NLP, American Board of NLP.
So it has a global recognition.
Absolutely.
Wonderful.
Yeah. The global recognition, the globally top most recognized body.
Okay. And Ravi, what happens after the workshop? Because once these 3 days, you're talking about 3 days of diploma, which you take 3 days or you break it down into half a days. So what happens after the workshop? Because I feel you also can resonate with me because teachers might need support after the workshop.
Absolutely. So when we spoke about the group coaching, so here I'm talking about having weekly sessions as a post-training module where I want to take feedback of what's happening.
Yes.
Because I believe training starts after the training gets over.
Yeah, because in the training they're getting information,
Right.
but transformation happens after training.
Exactly. Right. So it's like I said, any form of learning is about reaching to the subconscious.
Yes.
So I myself have to be participating in this in my aforementioned claim. So to provide that strong base, we need to have post-training assistance where fine-tuning, tightening some loose ends and ensuring the internalization of all the concepts learned during the diploma sessions.
Wonderful. Great. So, Ravi, would you like to add anything else to what we discussed?
I think it's not about addition; it's more about invitation. I think I welcome and really heartfully, really from the bottom of my heart, that teachers or educators or people who are providing education, I urge them to incorporate NLP into this, because it's not just about the professional growth of a teacher. It's about shaping those minds, man. I mean, that is something which is more of a sentimental value, right? Because all the parents, when we talk about young students, all the students are actually coming with their clean slate, surrendering to the teachers their classrooms. So they must go back rich. So it's an invitation, it's a welcome to all the teachers, educators, to actually test what NLP really is, and then transferring it in the remaining their teachers or anything, anyhow.
Wonderful. In fact, thank you, Ravi, so much for sharing us such an immense knowledge on neuro-linguistic programming. I hope teachers will get a lot of value from this podcast. Thank you so much.
Thank
for
you
being
very
over
much.
here.
It's been my absolute pleasure, and a delight to have spoken my most favorite, fascinating topic, of NLP. Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you so much.